Hello everyone, I am back with Thomas Rankin, and this time on Season 3. I know, because like I did with Season 2, I rewatched Season 3 for this video, and I'll be honest, I think I do like it more than Season 2, because it's jumped back into one of SS here, Thomas the Tank Engine seasons. Excuse me. And I was really looking forward to doing this ranking video for, because after doing it with Season 2, I was like, I'm going to do the same with Season 3. And I did, and now I'm ready to rank the season. I will say this is such an amazing season. So I'm going to start it off, and it's a scar for Percy first. I'm putting this in great. This was a really fun starter to Season 3, I have no words. I haven't got much to say about it other than it was great. It was a fun starter. I loved the accent. The accent always stood out to me, even as a child. Fun fact, when I was in high school, in year 9, when I had a teacher of me who knew I was a Thomas fan, she said she had a friend who was scared of this episode because the jam looked like blood. That's a funny little story. And I'm looking back at that, and I just remembered it when I was watching this, and I was like, I remember that. So then, yep. But we got another Percy episode. I'm putting this in great. It's a wonderful Percy episode, showing what he's all about. But like I said in my Season 2 video, this episode, it should have been in Season 1 between Woolly Bear and Thomas and the Missing Christmas Tree. It would have concluded Percy's arc, and then just have Percy takes the plunge in this episode, swap it with Percy takes the plunge, perhaps. Would have done it better, to be honest. Next up, excuse me, Time for Trouble. Again, I'm putting this in great. I have no words to describe this, but I just love the James and Toby story. It's just a fun James and Toby episode. That's all I've got to say. And for some reason, it visually sticks out to me, the shots of Toby trundling along the main line, and those shots have always appealed to me, because, fun fact, one of my mum's old friends I used to go to had the VHS tape of Time for Trouble, so I saw the first 8 episodes. I didn't see this episode in any of my Thomas VHS tapes I had, and so I remember watching this episode, and the shots of Toby just stood out to me for some reason. I know, really bizarre, but it's a simple story that I love. I'll tell you what, where's Gordon the Famous Visitor? I cannot find it here. Where is it? There it is. There's City of Truro. Again, great. Wow, we're 4 episodes in. I'm loving this. Oh, hang on. I think I just made a wee mistake at a row above. I wasn't prepared because... oh, nope. Just realised I haven't put in, the best episode section, so... Whoops-a-daisy. No, it's been a long day for me, to be honest. Episodes, I am not best episode. So I'm actually going to... No, I'm going to put them in great, but I'm going to put these 2 in favourites. So yeah, Gordon and the Famous Visitor, this was obviously had its purpose for the Duck and Diesel trilogy, so in the books, but I really liked how the TV series played this episode out. They did their own original take on it, still playing faithful to the original story, but put a little twist on it, because Duck didn't have his little arc. But mind you, I suppose Duck does have his little own arc, because Donald Duck is next, and that's going in favourites again, because it's a simple story, but it's a funny one. Donald insults Duck, so they get back, and Donald just gets back in the funniest way. Donald Duck, of course, it's poking fun at the name Donald Duck. I think it was Donald having a pet duck was appropriate, because, of course, the character Donald Duck, and the way he got back at Duck was very funny. They just got his crew to place a nest box with an egg and make it look like he was laying an egg because he's called Duck. Wilbur Audrey, when he wrote the story, was really funny, and I really love this Donald Duck. It's a very underrated gem. I'm going to just say this. Season 3 has a lot of underrated gems, So many underrated gems. But yeah, and I'm going to go back to this again. I said, like with Time's Trouble, shots of this episode stood out with me. Same with Donald's Duck. Like, the ones of Duck travelling along his branch line just weirdly stood out to me. Next up is Thomas Goes Bump. I'm putting this in okay. I really want to put it in great, but part of me saying it's okay. My issues with this episode is it starts from one plot and goes to a completely different plot to another. So, excuse me, what is with me right now? Thomas Percy mocks Thomas for being late, and he helps out, but then the episode goes from him having an accident and his branch line being closed for repairs. I think personally, with the Percy plot, Percy done his own doing to be late because the Fat Controller knew what Thomas did already, and he understood the reason for being late because he helped out for a greater cause. Percy should do something that would make him late, and the Fat Controller reprimands him and tells him to pay him out for teasing Thomas about being late and point out it. And then, yeah, it would be a nice little lesson learning for Percy, like a fun little Thomas and Percy rivalry story. But shown, like, with Thomas's character, like, he won't hold a grudge, he would be okay. And then the whole Bertie thing, like, that plot could carry on like Thomas worrying in the yards, and he causes an accident because he worried too much about being replaced. You had two simple ideas to play off with the main magazine stories. So, two plots mashed into one episode that shifts really didn't work for me. Yeah, sorry Thomas gets bumped. I loved you at one point, but now I've understood, like, yeah, this episode needed tweaking. So, Thomas, Percy and the Dragon, and I've had a recent change of opinion with this one. Thomas, Percy and the Dragon has become my favourite episode of Season 3. This has just become one of the most underrated gems of classic Thomas. I love the Chinese dragon prop. I love the night shot of Season 3, especially with the mist and the music playing when Thomas is taking the Chinese dragon at the night. Like, when it's coming to Percy, like, it's really a bit creepy music, and one of Mike and Junior's most underrated pieces of music, if I have to be honest. And I also find it funny because they mention continuity with Thomas being spooked with Percy from Season 2 and Ghost Train. The fact Thomas... It's funny because Thomas unintentionally got even with Percy in that way. It's actually really funny in that. So, it's a fun little Thomas and Percy story. I love it so much, and I'm now calling it my favourite episode of Season 2. It's just so much fun as an episode. Then we've got Diesel Does It Again. I'm torn between favourites and great. That's actually quite tough. Oh, this is a hard one. I know what, I'm going to put in favourites because I do like it when I'm watching Season 3. Because I don't know, it's a fun... It's like a better story of Diesel making a comeback and him just doing work, but he ends up just making a habit of the mess, and the Fat Controller's just like, I've had enough. And the continuity with Duck is, like, very well on key. Like, they acknowledge their history with each other, and Duck being very upset. So, I don't know why, but I also love Diesel's face when it goes up to him when he's, like, shocked. Like, the picture says it all, like him just, like, saying, uh-oh, when he's made the crash. Oh, so funny. Henry's Forest, the episode that Wilbur Hawtrey famously hated. But us fans, a lot of us, love this episode. I think I would be attacked for not liking this episode. It's such a wholesome, sweet episode with one of the most mature messages out there. Sad music, like, you really feel for Henry in this one, and you really feel for him, how he's happy. The music's embodied, the narration by Michael Angelis is really, really good. And you know what? The shots at the end of the forest restored, breathtaking. Such a visually wonderful episode. with like when one door shuts, a new one opens. Like, wow, that's amazing. This was definitely what made him separate from the likes of Gordon and James. Such a wholesome episode. But we've come from one of the best to the weakest episode. I'm just saying, the Trouble Lift Mode. I won't go to say it's bad, but I don't care for it. Like, I've got not much to say on it. Like, it's just meh. It just happened. Like, wouldn't Gordon understand the needs to be like in pristine because he is the express engine, and yeah, what did this have to do with like James being stuck on the hill? Like, I get why they did it because they needed like another story to adapt from the Railway series, but this one I just no, I have no opinion on. I just don't care for it. I never really cared for this episode anyway. So yeah. No joke for James. It's that one. I'm putting this in great. It's a great little James story. Like, he does something naughty, but he redeems himself for being a hard worker. Really strong character-driven episode by James, and he redeems himself by bringing the inspector to the Fat Controller. It just, not much to say, but just a wonderful James story. Thomas Percy in the Post Train. I'm putting this in favourites. This is one of those episodes where I don't love it for its story, but I love it for both its music and atmosphere. I'm going to be honest, the Post Train theme, my favourite theme of the whole series. I just love it. And combine that with the night shot of Thomas and Percy delivering the Post Train. Oh, so wholesome. Like, it's beautiful. It's a calm, relaxing episode. I enjoy watch. Not much plot-wise, but sometimes you love the story for everything else beside the story. That's all I can say. Trust Thomas. Ideally, it has the same issue as Thomas gets bumped, but I'm going to have to put this in grey, because I don't know, there's something about this episode that's just relaxing. It's like a comfort episode. I don't think I would put it up in favourites, because, I don't know, like, it's got the same issues Thomas gets bumped, but it's got a funny crash, and nice shots, and like it definitely shows Thomas's character growing. Like, the only issue is like it goes from Thomas trying to help Bertie to him having this accident. Maybe the accident should have worked if he like crashed and found the tar wagons, or James was meant to take the tar wagons but didn't want to. Thomas takes them, but you introduce the troublesome tankers and they're the one who causes the accident, but they managed to mend their road anyway somehow. Yeah, that would have worked, but what we got, I actually do enjoy this more than Thomas gets bumped. So ideally I should put this in okay, but I do enjoy it, so I'm putting it in great. Time for Mavis. Not the character. Okay, the character does introduce, but the episode. Favourites. This is an episode Mavis and her episodes I have grown to love as an adult. Like, I love Mavis so much, and her introduction is one of my favourites. Like the contrasting with Toby, and just she has a fun little arc, and I don't know, I love when Michelangelo just goes grrr, it makes me laugh. Just fun little. I'll be honest, I love the Railway series version of Mavis as well. Like, obviously she said fiddlesticks, but basically when she said fudge, she was basically saying fuck off to Toby. It just makes me laugh. And of course we got Mavis' redemption story in Toby's Tightrope. Again, favourites as well. Tense scene with Toby. I knew this episode about Mavis before introduction, because when I got season 3 on DVD, that's when I saw Mavis' introduction. But I was aware of Toby's Tightrope because I had on Chases, Races and Runaways as a kid. But you know what? It's hard not to like it. It's one of my favourite Toby episodes, and a redemption story for Mavis. Wonderful. Edward, Trevor and the Railway Beautiful Party, again, favourites. Again, this episode, I know it's just like, people find it baffling, but the fact we got a road vehicle episode in the classic series was just amazing enough. And I love the little story plot with Edward and Trevor, and then I love like seeing the Vickers party going well, and then Bertie having his own little incident, and Trevor proving himself. Well, it really was Terrence, but it was a nice little road vehicle episode. It was nice that they got some attention too. Okay, what episode was it? It was Buzz Buzz next. Buzz Buzz. I feel like this is more of an original story than the Railway series story, so I'm putting this in okay. I have a fun childhood story of this one. I'm pretty sure a lot of yous have the same history where with the bee stinging James and then Michelangelo's his favourite. Like, did anyone else was scared of that when they watched this episode? Because I was. And when this episode came on, I immediately hid away from this episode until that scream was gone. Obviously, time's passed, and I'm able to watch it just fine. I'm a big boy now. But yeah, fun little childhood story. But the episode, it just feels more like one of the original stories than the Audrey written material. Like, it took its own take of like them getting rid of the bee, which hindsight is clever. But obviously, like, again, I feel like this should have been season 2 because it was important to Boko's character arc and the engines needing to accept diesels. So, yeah, I feel like this would have worked better in season 2. But you know what? It's okay. It's okay. All At Sea. Again, favourites. Who doesn't love All At Sea? It's an episode you come to really appreciate as an adult. Like, strong message like Duck wanting to go out and see beyond the horizon, but he can't because there's a steam engine, and just helping one out as in a train style, he learns the meaning of being a machine, a train, its purpose in life, and just being happy about with your limits and all that. That very strong story, and personified by a train, Duck being one of my favourite characters ever, really says a lot. If I didn't end up, I would place this first because best if Thomas Percy and the Dragon, but I do love All At Sea. Definitely one of my top 3 favourites from season 3. Which was the other one? You don't know. Ideally, I could put this in best episode, but that's just for the main best. So Thomas Percy and Dragon gets that honour. Let's go to One Good Turn, and you know what? I'm going to put this in okay. I like seeing Bill and Ben, and I like seeing Boko. It was nice to get a branch line focus episode, but the ending wasn't the best. Like, they just struggle, they laugh and just pull it. Like, wow. That was it. That was the whole purpose of Falling Out. But you know what? That's the only issue, but yeah, it's okay. Tender Engines. People have grown to dislike this episode, but I'm gonna have to put this in great because, you know, I'll be honest, it was nice to see Flying Scotsman, even though it was with his tenders. I understand why they had to change it, but you know what, for the whole purpose and like basically pointing out that steam engine's time is coming to an end and diesels are taking over, like, it's pretty heavy for the trains. And it's pretty heavy stuff, and you think, oh dear, that's really upsetting for them. But look, they're lucky because they've got the Fat Controller who will never do such a thing. And you know what? Duck's prank to Henry was really, really funny as well. Just him pulling the dirty tenders, the 6 tenders. It's a funny little prank. So yeah, I think Tender Engines is actually great. It's not, season 3 is probably one of season 3's everyone's favourite from season 3, but I think it's great. But Escape, oh, everyone knows this one. When I've done my top 5 and top 20 video, both times this was at number 1. But recently, I've come to think it's a bit overrated, to be honest, as controversial. But I've revisited it, and you know what? It deserves to be in the favourites, and I'll be honest, this, All At Sea, and Thomas Percy and the Dragon definitely make up my top 3 for this season, because what's there to say about Escape? It's an absolute banger of an episode. I really enjoy this Escape. Who doesn't? Douglas's arc is wonderful. Oliver being introduced, the music, the atmosphere. It's a bang of an episode. It's definitely one a Thomas fan deserves to see. It's just, you're just going to be wow with this one who's never watched Thomas. And then we've got Oliver Owns Up, and I'm going to put this in favourites again. Look at that, favourites a lot. You know what? It's a nice little introduction to see. Despite it's nice to show that despite having a daring escape, Oliver ain't perfect, and we get to see his flaws. He can be overconfident. He can be pretty stuck up when he gets praised heavily, but he's brought back down to earth, and he realizes he's just like any other steam engine. Not much to say there, but a wonderful story. Next up is Bulgy. I'm putting this in great. I love the story, but personally, Toad Stands By should have been in Bulgy's place, because, I mean, you are able to make a one-off character anyway, and it would have been a great redemption story for Oliver. Like, you had Escape where he's introduced, have him being humbled, then give him that redemption. Why wasn't that in... Why did they do it in Season 4 instead of Season 3 here? Just so baffling to me. Next up is Heroes, and I'm putting this in great. It's better than One Good Turn, like pretty much like One Good Turn, like they get into a muddle and that. And why was Gordon pulling the Express out of Brendan is beyond me, but the whole landside thing, wow, that is just impressive. And that one shot where the bow falls and everything jumps up, wow. That's classic Thomas for you, baby. Just amazing. But it shows just to show that in dire situations, Bill and Ben will always jump in to rescue. They're not just mischievous little devils. Then again, Season 3 did a lot for the characters. Like, we got to see Donald and Douglas as their own separate characters. Thomas had his little character change. Duck's fascination with the sea, all that. Just amazing. Percy James and the Fruitful Day. I'm going to put this in... Okay, it's one of those episodes I just watched when I watched Season 3 in general, and it's nice that they introduced the Percy and James dynamic here. And also the crash always stood out to me as a kid, like all that smushy fruit being splattered all over Percy, and like that green... I'm going to call it like Pampers soap. I don't even know what that is. I'm just going to call it that. Like, just a fun crash, but, you know... Just that's about it. It's an okay episode. And then Thomas and Percy's Christmas Adventure, I'm gonna put this in great. Like, it's a nice, fun, adventurous Season 3 conclusion. I like them going off on adventure and that, and just it's a fun way to like conclude Season 3 as a whole. Wonderful. And that is Season 3 ranked, and I gotta admit, Season 3 is definitely one of the best Thomas seasons. I don't know about favourite though. I like continuity is a bit of shaky when you with Diesel, like him coming on and off on Sodor, and then like some of the stories, like especially other ones, like look at Trust Thomas and Thomas gets bumped in One Good Turn. Like they could have been better. But a lot of the non-Audrey stories, like No Joke for James, All at Sea, and Thomas Percy and the Dragon especially, are really amazing. There's so much to like in this. The model work's amazing, the narration by Michael Angelos is lovely, the atmosphere is lovely, the sets, the fact that all the characters that were introduced prior, aside from Daisy, and then had something to do, is really amazing. Can you name a series where an episode with Bertie, the bus, and those on the roads ever happen again? The only one I can think of is Free the Roads or Mucking About in the Brenner era. But yeah, Season 3 is so unique, and it's just a wonderful season. I do love this season. I'm kind of wanting to rewatch it again, if I have to be honest. I do recommend Season 3 to quite a lot of people. It's just amazing, and yeah, that's all I've got to say, to be honest. So, yeah, that was Season 3. So I feel like I've repeated myself and paused myself quite a lot today. But you know what? It's been a bit tired, and I really wanted to do this video tonight. But I'm glad I did. Season 4 is next, everyone. Oh, I'm looking forward to that one because it's the narrow gauge engines at last. But for now, I'm going to leave it here, and this is Blue Engine signing off, and goodbye.